Alright, bad news, good news time. Bad news! Zelda's been kidnapped, the very way of life in Skyloft has been jeopardized, and the human race is in grave danger by an invisible force equal to or more powerful than the camera in Evil Dead. Good news! We got an awesome sword and some new threads out of it. Yes! Everything's okay again. So, when you leave Link's room, you'll meet Fledge in the hallway, who has a very nice item for you in the form of the adventure pouch. Most Zelda games have a single menu, which is accessed through the pause button, which usually has items on one side, and then if you press something like R or L, you'll see all your equipment and power-ups like the Golden Gauntlet or different shields that you can equip. The adventure pouch in this game is similar to the equipment menu in Ocarina of Time, where all of your items and utilities are in one menu, which in this case is a large ring of 8 weapons and items you'll need to solve puzzles. And then the second menu, which has all your equipable shields, as well as items you won't need on hand, such as bottles, your bomb bag and quiver upgrades, and new medals, which have effects such as lengthening the effects of potions and making it easier to find rupees and treasures. These new items are pretty cool, but sadly, you have you're limited to 8 adventure pouch spaces, and even if you upgrade it, that's the most that you can get. So, you'll probably want to keep something more important like bottles and quiver upgrades over being able to find something like treasure. Not to mention, if you want all 20 hearts on your menu at any time, that'll take up 2 adventure pouch slots the entire game, limiting you to just 6, which really makes it difficult to make any practical use of medals at any given time. Still, they are quite useful, and I'd recommend you use them in some areas every now and again. Once you've obtained the adventure pouch, you can leave the Knight's Academy, and I'd recommend doing this from the bottom floor, the one where you come out of your room on, and you can get a very nice optional item that you can actually put right into the adventure pouch. You can go ahead and talk to everyone, but unless you're the type of person who likes to hear what every NPC has to say as the game goes on, they really don't have anything helpful to say to you. Nothing like, oh, you can use your Wii Remote to do X and Y. So you can totally skip this if you want. I figured it's worth showing off since obviously no one's interacted us after we become badasses, so it might be worth just seeing what they have to say to us. After all, I'm sure everyone now admires our green threads and absolutely awesome sword. I mean, look at that hilt. Look at that hilt. How cool is that? Nonetheless, as mentioned, you can leave the Knight's Academy, which I did from the top floor for whatever reason, despite the fact that I gave you the exact advice not to do so, and you can actually speak to Instructor Owlin. Instructor Allen will have a speech bubble over his head during this segment, so I think I spoke to him on a separate occasion, but this might be the first time that you actually speak to him, so this is what he looks like just in case you don't know it. If you speak to him, you'll obtain a wooden shield completely free. The wooden shield is the worst shield in the game, and due to taking massive damage and having a very small shield bar, it can be really cumbersome, not to mention the fact that it's made of wood and thus will burn in any fire-based areas. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend taking it to, oh, I don't know, Zelda's staple volcano. However, for this early in the game, it's better to get a crappy shield like this for free than for the market price of 50 rupees. So now that you have a shield, you can press the minus button to access the adventure pouch and select your shield. You can actually unequip the shield just by tapping the minus button, and it'll go back into your hammer space void from whence it came! But I really don't think that there's any time where it's particularly useful to do so. I guess maybe if you forget that you're wearing it in, you know, Zelda's staple lava area, and you don't want it to burn, you can just press the minus button and go without a shield until you can get yourself a better upgrade. But ultimately, I really don't think that there's any other time for that. There are very few times where it's particularly convenient. So basically, using your shield is not particularly difficult. However, if you do need some advice on how to use the shield practically during combat, you can talk to Knight Commander Aegis to learn some helpful tricks to using your shield. All you really need to know about your shield is that if you swing the nunchuck, you'll hold it out and as well as do a shield bash if you're already holding it out in front of you. A shield bash is a basic combat move that, if done with proper timing, will cause an enemy to falter and, well, they basically have to attack you, and if you shield bash at the right time, or technically just pull out your shield at the right time, it'll cause the enemy to falter and make them much easier to attack. You can simply swing the nunchuck to have Link hold the shield out in front of him and then just run around with it lazily there. Kind of like if you're more used to L targeting, when you can walk around with the shield out. But the only problem is simply holding the shield in front of you makes it susceptible to damage, which will cause it to break if it takes too much damage. You'll notice underneath our hearts is a little thing called the shield bar, which I think that's pretty self-explanatory. More damage shield bar takes, the closer it gets to breaking. It doesn't get any weaker as it takes more hits, but certain shields do take more damage than others. For example, this shield can take at least like 4 or 5 hits, whereas a shield with a bar that small might be able to take, say, 2 or 3 hits, despite the fact that it's actually stronger for whatever reason. There are different perks that you'll get to using it, so that'll make a bit more sense later on. I don't really want to spoil any of the other shields because, while it's not necessarily a surprise, I do know some people who like to discover the whole game for themselves, which, why are you watching a walkthrough in that case? All in all, I'd actually recommend you say Master of the Shield Bash, because if you want to win, like, 90% of the fights with tougher enemies, you should probably learn it, and learn it well. For those of you who would like some extra practice, you probably remember that log with a ferocious, scary bat on it. This is a very nice way to practice your shield bash timing if you're, like a lot of gamers that I know who are just really bad with rhythm. You can use this to time your shield, and I actually demo it. It doesn't do any damage to your shield if you screw up, so this is really a nice test environment where you can basically just get used to shield bashing. And once again, you will want to learn this, especially if you want to win most of the tougher fights in the game. Also, humorously enough, I jump out of the way of the log, and it just kind of swings at me, just like it's trying to attack me, even though I'm already gone. So, after you've basically learned everything that you need to know, a few will come out and remind you that you can buy various items for your quest to the Bazaar. And also, she'll explain how to change the basic interface on the screen. There are 3 types of interface settings. Standard, the one that I've been using this entire time. Pro, which is one that doesn't have the giant little Wii remote on the side. Or Lite, which has the basic functionality of the Wii remote on the side, without the actual Wii remote, you know, like the actual Wii remote figure. Personally, I like to leave it on the screen. I'm just used to leaving it on standard because I'm very used to the way that the screen looked in other 3D Zelda games, where the screen had like 5 or 6 different things on it at once, like your C items, HP, magic, rupees, and maybe a minimap or some other such object. Here you just have your rupees, health, and shield bar. And when you have some items, you'll have something like the basic menu, but literally it's just a small thing that tells you how to use the one item you can have at a time. It's much like Twilight Princess in that way, where you can only use one item at a time. So ultimately, I just really think it leaves the screen very bare, and I do not like the way that it looks. So, yeah, feel free to change it if it bugs you. However, I will be leaving it as it is. Now, whenever you feel that you've got a good amount of cash built up, head into the Bazaar and speak to the shopkeepers. I decided to talk to everyone just because I figured you guys might be a little bit interested in knowing what everyone has to say, but really, there are very few people that you'll actually need to talk to. You know, there's your generic guys sitting at tables who basically just give you tutorials on how to do various things that you probably already have figured out just by experimenting with the game, you know, like all of your favorite Zelda games tend to do. And there are a few shops that you won't have much access to, but right now there are really only 2 shops that you should bother with. The first shop I'd recommend you talk to is this one over here. This is the Scrap Shop. The Scrap Shop is a very nice little shop because it'll allow you to upgrade your weapons and repair your shields. This will be a shop that you will frequent probably the most. It allows you to upgrade everything in the game, from various weapons and items that you'll have to your shields, and all it takes are a few measly treasures, which is one of the reasons you might want to have something like a medal in your pouch if you already have enough space for it. Across the way from this guy is the Fortune Teller, who you should just ignore 90% of the time. It will charge you to figure out what to do next, but you already have the super guide, and if you're watching a walkthrough like this, even that becomes pointless. Let's face it, would you rather talk to a bright-eyed, bush baby human hybrid who sucks money right out of your wallet, or its YouTube equivalent? Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, this walkthrough costs 50 bucks an hour. Pay up, geeks. The last person you should talk to is the potion shop woman. I did skip 2 shops, which were the Bazaar and Item Check. Shop. It's literally just the item shop. I skipped the item shop because, well, mostly there's no reason to go to it right now, especially if you have the wooden shield that I recommend that you get. And the item check, you don't really have anything that you want to check. If you ever need to check something from your adventure pouch, you can always put it in there, but if you are going for all the side quests, you can actually talk to the girl at the item check to get the ball rolling on a very long side quest that it's very worth it to start early, since you can actually get a very nice upgrade for finishing it pretty early in the game. So, that said, this potion shop woman will actually give you a free bottle. Yes, one of the best items in the Zelda series is yours to command from the beginning of the game. With it you shall reign supreme over all that challenges you. They shall fear your heart potion, which heals upwards of 8 hearts for 20 rupees each. They shall grovel at your feet when you use the might of the revitalizing potion, which can fully repair a shield and restore 4 hearts for a total of 30 rupees. And worst of all, they will be powerless to stop you and your guardian potion, which for a whopping 200 rupees will make you temporarily invincible. Mwahaha! So, yeah, bottles are really nice items. And in this game, the potions are actually very much worth buying and carrying around at all times. If you played something like Majora's Mask, which would basically reset any purchases that weren't permanent, you'll usually find that you're not gonna buy a whole lot. But I tend to carry around potions with me at all times, especially since you never know when you're gonna need one. I usually buy the revitalizing potion this early in the game, since I don't like having, you're probably not gonna have 8 hearts, and I usually don't like to let my health get to about 5 hearts before I heal up, since most of the enemies in this game do about 1 heart of damage with every attack, which can be a bit annoying. And also, it does become a bit cumbersome because, well, you're just going to feel really bad about healing up 8 hearts that you don't have. Plus, it's more likely that your shield will break, and there's really not much of a chance that you're going to die this early in the game. They do go decently easy on you. However, you can get a free revitalizing potion on the surface in your second bottle, which you'll basically get within the next episode, so you can actually have both if you really want to, just in case you're sitting at home, panicking over the dilemma this purchase sets up for you. So, once you're ready, you can exit the bazaar. I just decided to talk to one last guy who you'll be frequenting. This guy will make use of all of your bugs. Bugs can be used to power up potions. For example, our Revitalizing Potion will become the Revitalizing Potion Plus, as long as we can bring him those items. Currently, we don't have any of those bugs. In fact, currently, we don't have any bugs. So, not something I'd necessarily recommend you check out too much. Now, the very last thing you might want to check out before you actually go down to the surface is you can talk to Satan's host over here, who will inform you that you need a bug net to catch bugs, which can strengthen your potion, and even tells you that the only place to buy one is Beetle's Air Shop. Aww, thanks Satan, you're not so bad after all. Well, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all on Chapter 2. So, join me in the next episode when I go to the surface for the very first time. This has been Chaos, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching KaosKinWalkthroughs, and stay classy, everyone. Alright, see you guys.